back everybody to another episode here in our kitchen, and today we are going to be making strawberry jam or homemade preserves. If you remember from our last episode, I baked the Victoria sandwich cake and we were missing homemade strawberry jam, and I said I was going to have to make some. Well, today is the day where I'm making it. We're actually just going to use the easy recipe from the Sure-Jell pectin box. Nothing overcomplicated. You can make jam without pectin. There's a whole other recipe for that. We might do that in the future, but tonight we're doing the easy way. So let's get our strawberries smashed up. Let's get started because I want to get this jam done. Okay, so let's get started on making our jam. First things first, I already have our strawberries topped and halved, so they're all cut up and ready to go. Now we have to mash them up to get them nice and broken down and a little bit soupy before we start cooking and adding everything else in, okay? So let's start doing that. Gotta get everything nice and smashed. You want to start the breakdown process first for it. It just cooks up much easier. I will have the full recipe for this in the description of this video. Like I said, it's actually just the recipe on the back of the box. So you can kind of see it starting to break down a little bit right there. We got to keep smashing that though. Get everybody all squished up. And behind me, you're gonna see the red pot right here. That's what we're actually gonna be making the jam in. And then the big stock pot right there, that has my jars in it. So they're starting to come up to a boil right now so they can be completely sanitized and clean for our canning process. Now, Rob usually, whenever we have preserved strawberry jam in the house, it's his grandmother's recipe, which is really just a recipe on the box also. But he wants it done the way she does it, which is 2 boxes of pectin for the one, for the, 8 cups of strawberries. So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna add in 2 boxes of the pectin and see how it turns out. All right, so I got the pot hot and going. Let's get the strawberries in. So we're gonna let that heat up a little bit, then we're gonna add in our pectin, okay? This big old bowl right here is our 7 cups of sugar. It's a lot of sugar. We get our 2 bags of our Sure-Jell. And one of the things to remember is once this gets boiling, and you want a rapid boil, so you want it to continue to boil while you stir. If it stops boiling when you stir, you need to turn up the heat a little bit. But you have to continuously stir it once it starts boiling, otherwise it will boil over and make a big mess. It can burn. One of the little tricks that the box says is to add in a little bit of butter, about a half a tablespoon, or a teaspoon should I say, of butter to the fruit and pectin mixture, and that's supposed to help it not foam as much, because at the end we'll have to skim off some of the foam that it makes. All right, this is starting to heat up a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in the pectin now. And we're gonna bring all of this up to a boil. All right, so our jars that are in here sanitizing, they are boiling and they are hot, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn those off. That way the boiling stops and they can just kind of sit there in that nice warm bath. So you want your glass jars to be hot whenever you're going to can your jam, because you don't want to put hot jam into room temperature glass because it might shatter or burst. So you want them to be hot. You're gonna fill them up, you're gonna leave a 1/4 inch space at the top, and then we'll soak them in their bath for about 10 minutes or boil them in their bath for about 10 minutes, and they should be good to go. All right, now that our fruit mixture is rapidly boiling, it is time to add in all this sugar. So once we add this sugar in, we're only gonna let it boil for another minute. We're gonna let it come back up to a boil and let it boil for another minute, should I say. And then we'll turn the heat off, and it's time to start putting this stuff in the jars. All right. All right, so we're gonna get all this incorporated in. Really stir it up. Don't splash yourself. Don't see any more white sugar. It is all blended in. Man, when you add the sugar, it really darkens up and thickens up like that. It smells so good. All right, so I'm gonna let this sit just for a second. I wanted to get it back up to a rapid boil, and then we're gonna start the timer. All right, we are at a rapid boil, so it is time to start this timer. Be very careful because it is very hot and it likes to splatter. And just keep it moving. You don't want anything to scorch to the bottom. You don't want anything to bubble over. I will say the butter seems to work. There's no foam. Ow! It's popping and burning my hand. Ow! Calm down, calm down, calm down. Alright, that's 1 minute. We're going to turn the heat off. Get another stir here. Yeah, I'm coming. Go ahead. Alright. Let's get our jars out. I do need to do the plate test with the jam first. So the plate test to let you know if it's truly going to set up correctly right now. If not, it needs to boil for a little bit longer. But what we're going to do is you just kind of take a little bit of it like this. Put it on your plate. Just a little bit on your plate like this, and then you're going to pop it in the freezer for like a minute, and it just lets it set up for a little bit, and then we're going to drag our spoon through it to see if it's truly going to set up. All right, let's get our whole test plate out. Okay. So it's set up a little bit like that, so then you just take your spoon. Actually, if it's good to touch. Take your finger through. That's perfect. So as long as it doesn't drip back into the center, it made a full finger mark and everything's staying separate, that's exactly what you want. It's ready to go in the jars. I have my canning funnel and my ladle. Got a little bit closer. And remember, you want to leave about a 1/4 inch from the rim of the glass down so it has room to expand during the canning process. Now, I don't have any little fancy canning tools other than my funnel. So, where's that plate at? My lid's ready. So we're just gonna eyeball that here. That looks about right. A little towel, clean towel. We're just gonna make sure we clean off around the edge. Woo, it's hot. Let me use my tongs. Just make sure that whole edge is nice and clean. And just finger tight, just like that. We'll set that to the side for now. And then just keep it moving. Okay, so we actually have a little bit extra at the end. So I went ahead and ran downstairs and I am warming up a little mason jar, and we're going to add this last little bit into there because I don't want to waste it. We have plenty left over. So each one of these are 16-ounce mason jars. So the last little one that I grabbed was a little 8-ounce, and that should be enough for this. I just want to make sure that the glass is nice and hot so we don't have any explosions. Nobody wants crunchy jam with glass bits in it. Whew, still hot. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so now everything's in its jar, it's ready to go. It's time to submerge these babies and boil them. Check your package when you are going to boil for your jams. The time is definitely gonna differ depending on your altitude. We're at about 3,500 feet, so we're gonna boil from 10 to 12 minutes, and then we're gonna take them out and let them cool on the towel, and they will need to set up for at least 24 hours at room temperature before you open them or you go ahead and store them. So let's get canning. Definitely gonna have to get me some of the little canning grabber tong things. All right, so like I said, we're gonna let this boil for about 10 to 12 minutes, and then we're gonna turn the heat off. We'll take our jars of yummy jam out, and we'll set them on the counter to cool for the next 24 hours. See you in a minute. All right, everybody, so they're all done. They look beautiful. These need to set up now here on the counter at room temperature for 24 hours, and then we can store them. We'll definitely check to see if anybody's lids have not sealed properly and have that suction. If anybody is still popping, those are the ones we will eat immediately, or you can put them in the freezer and use them later. So that concludes this video. Thank you so much for joining me in another adventure here in the kitchen. And until next time, bye guys!